Good afternoon and welcome back to Trading Options Network. Today has been a very interesting day, but of course, before we go ahead and get started, let's get this disclaimer out of the way. Again, today, everything that I discuss is my opinion, not the opinion of Trading Options Network. That being said, I looked at today and we had gapped up. From there, we had come right back down, and then I say late morning, we started shooting up, and we actually crossed over 500. I think we topped off a little bit over 501 on the SPY. And then the second half of the day, we started coming back down again, and we closed right below 500. So what caused this? Well, honestly, I don't know. The truth is, I don't know. I looked at the economic calendar, as I mentioned over the weekend. Nothing was scheduled for today. So my next thought was, you know what, let's go ahead and look at the earnings. Maybe there was an earnings that came out earlier that, kind of shook the market. And I looked at this and no, there really wasn't anything. SAP had announced their earnings, but, that's not going to necessarily be a company that's going to move the market, in my opinion. Not the way it had today. I mean, we did see a lot of volatility today. So my next thought was, maybe there's some earnings coming up tomorrow morning that could be moving the market a little bit. And, I did see Tesla and Visa are both announcing tomorrow afternoon. Tesla, of course, is one of the more volatile stocks in the S&P 500. So perhaps that's what's causing the volatility, for a little bit today. Pepsi, GE. So there are a few big companies that are going to be reporting their earnings tomorrow. So maybe that's what it is. And then the next thing I did is I went ahead and, let's go ahead and look at the chart here so you guys can get a visual of what I'm talking about. So again, we opened up. I'll look at the 3 minutes so we can probably fit the whole thing here. Yeah, that's pretty much the entire day right there. So again, the day opened, we started going down. We bottomed out at, about 495.43. So once we hit 495.43, we shot all the way up to our peak, which looks to be 502.38. So literally, we had more than a 1% swing from a little after 11 a.m. to about 240-ish, 236 it says over here. So in the matter of just a few hours, we had a 1% swing to the upside from the lows. And then for the last hour and a half, we just started trickling down again. So again, why is this? Well, again, I don't have the exact answer for that. It's just very indecisive. I'm going to go back to the daily candles here. And one thing I also noticed is while we did have a day of pretty much indecisiveness, look at the volume was relatively low as well. So there's not a lot of people doing much today. And I think the reason for that is because, again, we have some big companies that are going to be reporting their earnings tomorrow. And you know what? I honestly didn't even look past tomorrow, but I would be willing to bet that moving forward, we're probably going to see some, Facebook on Wednesday, IBM on Wednesday, ServiceNow, AT&T, Boeing. These are big companies, Microsoft, Google. So we do have a lot of companies that are reporting earnings. So today, not too many with the exception of these top two here, Verizon and SAP. And honestly, I don't even know much about this company, even though it has a relatively large market cap. But let's compare these market caps to the next few days. So about 208 trillion. Then we look at Visa, Tesla, Pepsi, GE. They're all more or very close, just slightly under. Wednesday, Meta, Thermo. Meta obviously is ridiculous. Thursday, Microsoft, Google, Merck & Company, AstraZeneca, T-Mobile, Caterpillar. There are a lot of companies this week that are going to be reporting earnings. I will say this week is going to be dependent on these earnings, whether we are going up or down in the market, okay? If the earnings are bad, again, I've been projecting 480. I still think that's going to happen, but if the earnings are bad, we're going to hit 480 this week. No doubt about it. If the earnings are good, we could easily go right back up over this 20-day and 50-day simple moving average. I'm not playing any earnings. I'm not. But if I were a betting man, I would think the earnings are going to be coming in a little weaker. Companies may actually beat their estimates, but I'm not worried about their estimates and whether or not the companies are beating their estimates or not. I'm actually more concerned of the guidance. Okay, what are these companies going to be talking about for this upcoming quarter? Are their projections going to be good? Are they going to be so-so? Are they going to be totally questionable? Who knows? But that's what, in my opinion, is going to move the market and these earnings. So, again, one other thing I did want to point out on top of this was the VIX. Okay, this is the last 3 months of the VIX. While we have been moving up and up and up and up and up, the VIX has been relatively steady. There was one spike here. My guess is that was probably a nice red candle that day. And by the way, if you don't know what the VIX is the ticker symbol, and it's the name for the Chicago Board Options Exchange, which basically what the VIX does is it measures the volatility of the market. Okay, so when the market is, more in a bear market, you should expect the VIX to go up, because when we are in a bear market or a bearish market, volatility is going to tend to be higher. Okay, so as we are going up and up and up, there's really not a ton of volatility. But as you see, as soon as we started hitting this downward trend, this downward slope here, that's exactly when the volatility started going up. Okay, I'm guessing this again was a pretty big red day. What day was that? Let's see, February 13th. Let's go back over here. Let's see, was this February 13th? Nope, that's April 4th. That's not even close. Here we go, February 13th. Yeah, so it was quite a big gap down in the market that day. And it was funny because that market really didn't do too much. It went up, it went down, but pretty much ended on its where it opened. And then, of course, we all know this as a doji. So a gap down was a doji, and the market was like, screw that, I'm going to continue moving up. We haven't really seen this. This is more of a spinning top, if anything. It still is a sign of reversal. Okay, so the fact that we did gap up when we were finishing on a spinning top, to me, is another sign that we have more downward movement to come. Also, the 20-day moving average is getting even closer to crossing that 50-day, so that's another thing that tells me that we should expect to see more downward movement. But again, all of this, what I just mentioned to you, in my opinion, is really going to be subjective to the earnings for this week. Because if earnings are blowing everything out of the water, everything's being beaten, projections are great, and all these companies are, gapping up 2, 3, 4, 5%, then obviously the market is going to have no choice but to move up. I don't see that happening. I really don't. But I don't have that crystal ball. I don't know what these companies are talking about or going to be discussing. But again, my opinion is we are going to continue to be moving down. And who knows, even after this week, let's say the week is phenomenal and we push the 50-day moving average at the end of this week. That does not mean that next week doesn't just come right back down. Okay? Again, 480 is my target for this pullback. I will continue to hold that opinion until the market actually hits it, or it completely proves me wrong. We bust right through that 50 and 20-day moving average and start hitting more all-time highs. Until that happens, 480 is my target. Now, I don't have a whole lot more to discuss in all reality because, again, today was not much of a day to talk about. The spinning top here is interesting to me. We did gap up on basically no news. I think it was just indecisiveness. I think the only reason we gapped up is simply because people just did not know what they were going to do yet. And because of that, the only thing that was happening was, pre-market and into the market, people were buying positions. Okay. That's why it gapped up. Now, again, can't stress this enough. I'm very excited to see what happens throughout the rest of this week with earnings. I think we are going down. Again, that's my opinion, but time will tell. Again, I don't really have anything else to say. There was no news really today, no economic numbers that had come out, no really big earnings that were discussed today. It was just kind of a bland day. That's why we did not. Yes, we had a pretty big, decent size range today. We still did finish relatively close to where we opened. Okay, so pretty much a very neutral day, but I guarantee you the rest of the week is going to be anything but. That being said, I'm out. You guys have a great rest of your afternoon, and I look forward to talking to you more tomorrow.